like he's been doing this quite a bit, just ignoring the semi-tarish options with knight takes d5, going e5, going bishop b7, e3, and opting for various playable setups here with black. But today he does something that honestly looks a bit gambly. Bishop g4, because you get the feeling that if white plays queen b3, black is about to start punching stuff, right? I think you play knight bd7 and you just kind of ignore both d5 and b7 and say, yeah, show me. That was, I guess, what he's doing here is he's saying, if I chase the bishop away, it might go to f5, and I don't like it going back to f5. It's a good square. So I will play queen a4 check, which does look very odd. Absolutely forces, well, not forces, but very much provokes black to play c7, c6, which is the move they want to play. But now I will be able to take control of this diagonal, which is very often the most important diagonal that is very heavily contested. And sort of the old thinking about the Carlsbad structures was very much if white controls this diagonal and the black bishop gets stuck on c8, doesn't get traded for anything, white is a bit better. And if you do at some point get to play bishop f5, bishop takes d3, black immediately equalizes. So he is very much engaged in the fight for the control over the f5 square. Yeah, this is, I think, the biggest story of the game so far. Magnus played what is a very, very rare choice on move 7 in a very, very well-known position. This is now move 11. Magnus is down half an hour, and Parham somehow managed to spend a full hour from move 8 until move 11. So that's 4 moves in a row. Yeah, there it is. I'm happy I got it in 10 seconds before 10 seconds before Magnus actually played that move.
This comes with a lot of risk attached, though.
Absolutely.
It's not just a pawn sacrifice potentially, but strategically c5. Yeah, it's always question marks.
I think so. Yeah,
it must be just
either immediately or we throw in knight c6 and then we go d4. Yeah, let's look at this.
Looks like one of those queen c2 nimzos now.
No, but that actually is quite pleasant for white, right? We're just slightly.
Hang
on, no. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, just blanked on the fact that there's bishop on h5.
I'm quite liking it. And g4 played by Parham immediately.
Immediately, yeah. So I guess he was expecting c5, and he's in no mood to
back down.
Bailouts aren't on his mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and the question here for Magnus is bishop c6 or take on c4, on d4. Sorry, first. Kind of a nice backup plan. Magnus takes on d4 instantly, so it feels like they've both been burning their time to calculate this specific variation. But as you say, instead of knight takes g4, okay, it's probably playable there. But even if just knight c6,
yeah, exactly. I felt like we have very decent long-term compensation if we just continue playing. I guess knight g2, and we want to try and castle kingside and stabilize. With this position, white is just a lot better coordinated. Is a lot closer to completing development and so on. And also we have sort of ruled out knight takes g4 because after knight g4 bishop b7, this is no longer a check. Yeah, I don't know if this is immediately refuted, but it feels like a worse version of the same, right? Just straight up worse version, because this queen is so strong and so difficult to challenge that queen c8 might be your best choice here or something.
Yeah.
and then why aren't we swapping those off the board earlier? And I don't see any way to justify like some sacrifices. Rook h4 even. I don't even have to go knight h4, even rook h4. Or probably this. I assume this also wins, but it looks a bit messy. Magnus's game after queen f6. Parham did take some time trying to find, anything playable that isn't queen takes f6, did not succeed. And I very much like his decision to play rook d1 and not long castles, because the very important difference is f2 is just not hanging. Like if you do the same as you would there, the fact that f2 is not hanging here allows us a lot more leeway. It feels the king is actually going to be pretty useful at e2 in some lines. I guess you can play maybe rook g3, rook h3, maybe.
Yeah, and rook f4.
Yeah, and rook f4 we can go g5. We're still not better, but I think we are making a draw here a lot more comfortably than we would have done with the king on c1, because we never have to worry about rook df8. We just go king e2 in response. We just have better connectivity between our pieces compared to those other lines. We're still not fighting for any advantage at all. Magnus decides to throw in rook e8 check. Surprises me a little bit. This has to have some kind of an immediate explanation.
I think it's similar to that last variation. Maybe the idea is just rook e4, just to hoover up some pawns.
Just start attacking it immediately. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
That's the only explanation for rook e8, I guess. Otherwise, you go for the deep one.
Altogether, quite happy about it.
Yeah, white's king.
Because our guys are just much more active, and the king on d4 is just going to be so much more of a factor than the king on g8.
How about if I poach the other pawn, the one on b2?
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's completely fine for black, but it doesn't really feel all that disastrous for white either. Feels quite playable. Trade very highly. Knight c2, king g3 doesn't look right, and bishop takes b2. For instance, you give white time to play g5.
Rook f4.
Rook f4. Though I can play.
And I take on g5.
And you take on g5, and rook h1, you have g6, yeah. Yes. Suddenly, this actually does start looking like a Grunfeld a little bit, as Magnus often does. Just very much enjoying himself on the clock. 55 against 16 here, move 23. The position shouldn't be very complicated, but it still might matter. Might start mattering the clock advantage that he has. You can definitely see it playing an actual role in the game. Gave it some thought, left himself 12 minutes, and played d6.
Yeah.
To which Magnus replied by instantly swapping the knights off the board. And I am assuming taking on g4.
There we go. Taking on g4 has happened. And d7 is just very well met by, well...
Rook d2 check, I think.
Okay, you flick in a check first.
Yeah, I think I can be greedy. I think I can pick up on b2 and then do whatever I please.
Yeah.
Because it's very important that you can't move forward. Like, I'm using this exact moment to force you on the back rank, take on b2, and...
Yeah, the set file...
I don't really care about d8 all that much, yeah. I like rook d5. I think it's a very logical move because he wants to be able to play king d3 and for the pawn on d6 still to be supported.
Yeah.
Magnus goes rook d7, hinting once again at the very, very strong plan of bringing the king over. Rook f1 attempts to stop that by introducing the idea of 95 check. And Magnus just calmly picks up this pawn on b2, while also maybe introducing the threat of rook g6, bishop a3, although that probably doesn't work just yet.
7.
And try to... but yeah, this is just fast enough, right?
I just get the king to e6, and then I think
it's just fast enough. Perhaps played rook d3, and apparently the engine absolutely hates it.
Yeah, it does look like
I guess.
Okay, forcing me back. Ugh.
Because rook f2 g6, right, was my point. But maybe you can play king f1 here, and the bishop doesn't have... yeah, and you get to play rook fg2.
That's sneaky. And this has turned, well, I say turned, but it's been going in Magnus's direction for a while. It's just so hard to play for white.
Yeah, and he plays bishop f6 very quickly, which supposedly is not the best, but still pretty good.
Rook a4 looks like it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, and it is a very logical move. The bishop sort of belongs there. Bishop a3 wasn't that required. I'm confused as to what he is supposed to try to achieve here. His last 3 moves were rook h1, f1, and then he spent a full 2 tempi moving the rook back and forth from d3 to g5, costing him the b2 pawn and the move. This has now to be probably just winning for black. Why? Why? I actually for the first time in this tournament, really, and this is such a weird spot for me to become suddenly interested. I wish I had some way to contact Fiona in time. Chat was very impressed with Magnus blitzing out king f7, but no. Rook b4 was a difficult move. King f7 really wasn't. The moment, I kept on saying, the moment the rook abandons the f-file, the king always comes to e6.
Yeah.
This was not tricky.
He set that up with the rook d7 like 5 moves ago.
The trick was to see the point of keeping the rook on the b-file, not the a-file. Because after rook takes a3, he'll have extra couple outside passers on both A, B, G, and H. Like one of them gets dropped, but I think it's completely winning. I don't think we worry very much about converting this. 94, and then whatever you please. Rook a3 played. Magnus agrees with us.
I do wonder whether playing a move like a6 or b6 or something was
probably also
was,
pretty good. Yeah, white seems completely stymied. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Maybe
no
b6.
real need not to cash in. Like whichever way you want. This is completely winning.
Yeah, Magnus will win this in his sleep.
Yeah,
creating those imbalances. And Parham, he's down to a couple of seconds. Oof. Yeah, at least he'll make move 40 most likely. But
yeah, he'll get to 40 here because his moves are easy and also entirely irrelevant. Like I want to say that they bear no weight anymore. 3 down with no passers, no counterplay. Black about to start pushing. Not a ton of hope. I wonder, like in terms of cleanliness here, do we go like bishop b5 here? No, Magnus not interested. Just snaps on d6.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Those pawns roll very quickly, actually. Yeah, white's pawn's never going anywhere. Knight e4. Is king c6 the only square?
No, but like once again, I don't think we need to
really
discuss this. Yeah. I assume it's winning. Like I assume this position is still completely winning for black. But I see absolutely no reason to be 1 up when we can be 2 up.
True. Yeah, king c6 looks. Okay, he's gone forward. King d5.
King d5,
also good.
yeah. It's very similar,
yeah.
Very similar to what we're discussing. I think we're so far ahead that I would actually give up h6.
Yeah.
And win this pretty. Yeah, king c4, like rook h5, we go b5, rook h6, rook. It's a bit meh.
This is the only question, right? To maybe just rook d6.
Yeah, but then e4, right? But I guess we still win. Like, no, hang on. This
Here
I've drawn.
You don't. Yeah.
This I've drawn. Maybe not drawn, but I've allowed a bit too much. Like, there's no way we need to allow this much, even if it's still winning.
Yeah, maybe this is still winning, actually.
And I dislike rook f7 because I don't want the king to cross.
Oh, wait, same thing, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
b3.
Yeah. I'm very confused by why Parham chose to play rook f5 here. I think maybe he didn't like rook h7, actually. Maybe his point is if he goes rook f5, the solution is just rook f7, and then rook h5, rook h7, and we push the outside too.
Yeah.
And otherwise the b pawn just gets to b3, and then black wins on the king side. Maybe he wants to give a check and then go maybe back to f5. But yeah, it's probably losing slower than the previous line, but that's about as good as you can.
Yeah, actually, that pawn doesn't even drop off.
Yeah, yeah. Like you can't take on f6. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, queen b2. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, rook d6 played, and it's also move 40. So Parham will now spend some time considering whether he needs to play on from here. They both, of course, know what the result is, but yeah, rook f4 check. I guess there's no harm as long as he doesn't like think for 35 minutes here with white. Yeah, like we know how this movie ends.
Yes. Final stages.
We absolutely do know how this movie ends.
Yeah, Parham, he very rarely tanks after move 40. Thinking about that good cash game when he was maybe winning and he didn't even pause there. So why pause now against Magnus? 2 pawns down.
No, I think the pawn will be on b2 in like 30 seconds. I think they get to e5, b2, and maybe he resigns there because he actually, I think, loses the d-pawn without even being able to get rook versus queen. Doesn't look like there's much play left in it.
You can tell on Magnus's body language he's ready to get out of there. b3, why even look at anything else at this point?
Yeah. Honestly, if you play rook e6 here and allow king d3, you also have to question how easy this is. Like, legitimately, you might still be winning after king a4, but considering it's the b pawn specifically, and he has played king a4, okay, I guess it's still fine. And that's the only pawn this is true about. e5 played. I don't know. Yeah, Parham could have waited for a move, but I guess he's also very done with this game.
Yeah. What waiting moves were there?
Either king e3, whatever.
Okay.
I mean, this position is no better and no worse than the previous one, and e5 kind of makes you lose faster. I think describing it as some kind of weird tilt is not unreasonable.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to ask anyone endgame questions, like basic 101 endgames, I'm not sure Magnus is the guy to ask, but
yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah,
he's showing the spectators.
Yeah. And once again, we come back to this discussion that also, as long as he doesn't tank, it doesn't really waste anybody's time too much. But yeah, his expected value there is precisely 0.
Yes. You play Magnus 100 times in this position, you'll score 0.
Yeah, precisely 0, sort of regardless of like what time of the day it is, like what Magnus has been doing prior to being asked this question, or like it's just there are no sets of circumstances which result in this actually not losing him the game.
Yeah, so it looks like, well, there's 2 ways to win this. Either you play Rook A5 and you get your king out. So if white stops that with Rook A8, then
then Rook D5 check. And the exact mechanism that we were showing, the Rook is already on the 5th, which is quite useful. And in this position, without the pawn on E3 and the pawn on F6, the threat is Rook D4, Rook B4, very simply. King E3, Rook D1 is quite straightforward. Actually, no, not here. Yeah, here we get checked. So after King E3,
give a check first.
Yeah, we give a check and then we go either E4, B4 or Rook E1. Yeah, and otherwise, if you play Rook C8 check, you lose to King B4 and Rook B5.
Yeah, Magnus not hiding his feelings here. He knows this one's gone on longer than it needed to.
Yeah, I guess he is a bit miffed that he is being actually questioned about this.
It's probably been 20 years since he's been asked this question.
Yeah.
And there we go. We do finally see a handshake. Hahan resigns.